Like many of you, I still have relatively fond memories of Bioware and some of their earlier games. But over the past year or two, Bioware has seemingly had misstep after misstep, and I think I might know why. In the last few days, two major developers have left the company, seemingly for greener pastures, as I've heard no evidence of them being told to leave. But through exposés and insider information, we know that many of BioWare's latest projects have been completely disastrous. Whether it's Anthem or the upcoming Dragon Age game, we don't really know what to expect from BioWare anymore. We used to know that we would expect high-quality narrative-driven video games, but since their marriage with EA, and apparently, this is maybe just a coincidence, back in January, you might remember that they hired, I'm guessing, Miss Sarkeesian to tour their office and have tea with a great group of women and allies. I tweeted about a recent visit to BioWare, and a firestorm of criticism inundated my feed as well as the studios. If you want to continue seeing more inclusivity in games, help drown out the voices, express support for the change you want to see, meaning give her money. Now, I only say that laughingly. Smash like if you agree that it may be a bit of a curse. Now, if we look at just the past few days, we saw two senior producers now have left BioWare in as many days. Two senior staff at BioWare have parted ways with the company in just 2 days, with Anthem lead producer Ben Irving announcing his departure on the 15th, and Fernando Mello, a senior producer for Dragon Age, leaving on August 17th. By the way, I know I've had a lot of catch-up news today. I hope that you're still enjoying it. I'm going to deliver a fun video, I think, in the 7 o'clock hour that I think you'll all like. But I hope you didn't miss anything else, because I've talked about the Apex Legends debacle. I've talked about the Call of Duty issues over at Treyarch, and somebody now deleting their Twitter after being criticized for some cryptic tweets last night. Lots I talked about today, and I hope you catch them all. I continue. On the 15th, he sent out a series of tweets that confirmed that after 8 years at BioWare, he was parting ways with the studio in favor of, quote, accepting an exciting opportunity. Now, BioWare is a huge company, and it's easy, it's tempting to say that this looks like rats fleeing a sinking ship. And I think if you look at the way that the development cycles have been exposed to be complete messes, you can see the state that Anthem's in and the complete failure that it was. And you can see just maybe some writing on the wall of what to expect in the new Dragon Age games, as we'll get to in a minute. He said, after 8 amazing years at BioWare, I've made the decision to move on and accepted an exciting opportunity to another gaming community. Since the first time I played Baldur's Gate many years ago, BioWare has been the dream place I always wanted to work. Look, it's not uncommon for people to change jobs. I mean, I got to think even most adults will change every couple of years. Most people don't stay at the same company for 40 years like they used to. He goes on to say, I will forever be grateful to all the people who gave me a chance to work on great products with amazing people. I believe Anthem has a bright future. No, you don't. There's a great team working on it, and I look forward to following its progress and playing it from the sidelines. I also doubt that, Irving said in a follow-up tweet. Only 2 days later, on August 17th, Mello announced his departure in a similar way, sending out a string of tweets that included parting email to the studio. Mello has been with BioWare for 12 years, having credits in both Mass Effect and Dragon Age series, and emphasizes that leaving his studio is entirely his own decision. Well, I would guess that when you're at this level, you probably get a heads up. Either they're asking you to leave and they do it in a way where they're like, hey, let me give you a severance so we don't have a big messy departure. Or maybe they are just seeing the writing on the wall. It's hard to say. He wrote, as a producer, I write emails all the time to a variety of audiences, sometimes on really challenging topics. I don't think I've ever struggled to figure out how to write such an email as this one. How does anyone adequately express appreciation for the range of experiences, opportunities, emotions, challenges, and friendships over 12 years at a studio like BioWare and EA? Roughly half my professional career in the games industry has been here, and I'll be forever thankful for the opportunity to have been contributed in a small way to both Dragon Age, Mass Effect franchises, web companion apps, analytics, our community, blah, 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 blah. Generally a decent parting way with a great game, leadership team in place, a fantastic creative vision. We have some of the best devs in the world. Morrison is well underway to becoming the definitive Dragon Age experience, and I'm incredibly proud and honored to have played part of that. I'm eagerly awaiting the opportunity to experience the next DA as a fan Dragon Age this time around. I don't know if I necessarily believe that. Both, you know, hey, sometimes people leave, and you can get a lot of burnout, and maybe that's all this is. I mean, having the specter of EA over you constantly probably drags you down. It probably erodes your excitement about getting into work every day. However, we look at a lot of problems at Bioware, specifically those outlined by Jason Schreier at one point, and none of the actual problems that Bioware had, to be honest, as tempting as it is to blame EA for all the problems. And yes, EA did, quote unquote, force Bioware to push out Anthem before it was ready. What was what was Bioware doing for all those years? They absolutely share in the blame of Anthem. There's no doubt in my mind. And also in some of the recent Dragon Age video games that underperformed. Dragon Age 4 lead producer leaves Bioware. Another member of Bioware team has left Dragon Age 4's producer says goodbye. Now, I'm curious what you all think is going on here. Is it just a coincidence? They are on different projects, certainly. But to announce publicly you're leaving within 48 hours of each other certainly seems like there may be some relationship here, although maybe it's a new studio that's just poaching away some people. I mean, entirely possible that some new studio is starting up and they poached away a few people and they poached a few people here, people there, and now, hey, they have a start date, so eventually they've got to put their notice in. He goes on to say, as Mello alludes to, though, the bigger story here is how Bioware seems to be losing developers at a shocking pace. There have been a number of high-profile Bioware departures over the years, but this last week alone, we also saw the lead producer of Anthem leave the company after a long tenure. Incidentally, one of the key members of the Halo Infinite team also recently decided to leave their position. What of Bioware? We certainly seem to be far removed from the studio's glory days, but the news does make us wonder whether we should be worrying about the future of the studio as well. When we look at Halo Infinite story here, you know, this is supposed to, this was written today, revealed by Microsoft during E3. Halo 6 is actually called Halo Infinite, and we have a trailer coming out. So there's a lot of, obviously, news coming out about this game, and people have these franchises kind of entrenched in their in their minds. Obviously, Halo is huge. Dragon Age, I think, has lost a lot of goodwill, especially with Dragon Age 4 and the way they've been marketing it. But you lose somebody from that. You lose the Anthem guy. You lose Bioware. These teams are huge, obviously. Huge. But what does this all mean? I mean, they're saying now Bioware is committed to Anthem despite Dragon Age 4 focus. I don't buy that. A recent tweet from Chad Robertson, Bioware's head of live service, indicates that the studio is fully committed to Anthem, despite reports that many members of the development team are being shuffled over to work on Dragon Age 4. Anthem has been struggling with community perception as of late, you mean since launch day, with many players believing that not enough is being done to fix the game's many issues that continue to plague the day-to-day offerings. Anthem is the worst reviewed game in Bioware's history and has been yet another addition to a long list of games the fans believe the publisher EA is harmed with rushed launches. See, here's the thing about blaming EA. It's easy to do. But ultimately, Bioware piddled around for a very long period of time while they were developing Anthem, having no real direction or idea of the kind of game that they wanted to do or have put out. I mean, you have to pay your developer salaries. Eventually, you have to put up. Eventually, you have to have a product to sell. And it looks like we have probably the same situation coming now with Dragon Age 4. I'm very suspicious of how Dragon Age 4 will turn out because, well, Bioware has proven that they really have no idea how to manage their flow, how to manage a project, how to avoid scope creep, and how to make the correct decisions on what to leave into the game and what to take out of the game. Ultimately, Anthem was a complete and utter embarrassment for the studio. I think it would be very hard, even though most hardcore Anthem players would have a hard time making a case that it wasn't embarrassing. While this game's troubled release has certainly harmed the party's reputation, there's hope for both. Dragon Age 4 is one of the most highly anticipated releases in the pipeline, and despite not having a launch date, the acknowledgement that it's being developed is enough to get fans excited again. That meme comes to mind. What is it? Consume product and just start to get excited for the next product or something like that. The Game Awards in 2018 brief Dragon Age 4 trailer was enough to prove that the game's devoted and large following is hungry for another release, and that buzz hasn't died down in the interim. BioWare's canceled Dragon Age was exactly what the studio needed. This is going back to another article. You know, we aren't working on Dragon Age 3, we aren't working on Dragon Age 5. They're working on Dragon Age 4. This is an interesting studio. It seems, to be honest with you, it seems like the golden era of studios kind of being able to keep a franchise alive might just be over. I mean, you look at the Fallout series, years of amazing releases. Then you get to Fallout 76, which, admittedly, the game has come a long way, but I find it very difficult to forgive Bethesda, because what about all the people that bought the game originally and were promised a good functioning game? Just because it's working now doesn't mean I forgive you. You look at, BioWare's Dragon Age series. You look at BioWare as a studio. You look at Treyarch as a studio with Call of Duty. All these well-known and trusted studios seem to be floundering lately. And I think it's time for those AA studios and for those indie studios to rise up and earn our money, as opposed to just continuing to consume something just because we recognize the title of the game. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm curious to hear what you say about the comments and about this in the comment section down below. If you did enjoy it, please make sure to crush that thumbs up button. We'll talk to you again real soon.